So I've already built a large portion of this suit, which makes, this video tougher to do. As you can see here, I've already built a shoulder pad with the detail work only on one side, because that is the side that you're going to see. The other side will be covered by the cape, so why even bother? I spray painted it with some paint, which I have here, which I got from Home Depot. This is metallic all surface, whatever that is. It's some bronze something. I'm not sure if I like the finish or not, but I kind of like it. Here's the other shoulder. As you can see, there's only detail work on this side, and I haven't even finished it. I'll do all that when I get around to it. This side, of course, looks like shit, and that is fine because no one will ever see it. This is my first attempt at the breastplate. All of this, by the way, is done with EVA foam, which I bought for, way more than I wanted to spend from my local hobby store. It is a certain width, thick. Hold on, it's 10 millimeters thick. So for anyone that knows what millimeters are, it's that thick. So I've been using random cardboard from various things, boxes and whatnot, and cutting out my patterns freehand for the most part, and then taping them all together with duct tape to make sure everything works, and then cutting them into the EVA foam. The smaller detail work is done with this EVA foam, which is much smaller. I think it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. Also bought for more than I wanted to spend from Hobby Lobby. So this is my Batsuit build. Now for the breastplate, most of this was hand painted with just acrylics that I also bought at my local hobby store. But as you can see, there's some seams here, and I really don't quite like the way that those look. A lot of these cuts are not very clean. It took me a while to get used to the X-Acto knife because it's terrifying. And so as you can see, there's just a whole lot of stuff to not like about this. So I'm going to rebuild it, and I'm thinking that I may mold it and cast it in plastic and then refine it with sandpaper and a Dremel. Here's my workstation. As you can see, I had destroyed my nice new cutting board with the X-Acto knife. And that's gonna happen. So make sure you cut on top of something that you don't like as much as I loved this cutting board. Here is my first gauntlet. I've made it with EVA foam, the big thick EVA foam, and just some elastic that I also bought at the hobby store, and just some thumbnail tacks that I stuck in random places because, I don't know, I felt like it needed it. It's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty damn close, and I'm trying to get this done in the next 2 weeks before Halloween. So I'm skimping on some of the detail work. I need to figure out the darts. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that, but I'll figure that out later. As you can see, I've coated it in just Elmer's glue. Traditionally with foam armor, I understand you use Plasti Dip, but that stuff's expensive. And this Elmer's glue I got for like $1.69 at the grocery store. So I've been using that instead. This has been coated with Elmer's glue several times, and I don't mind the finish at all. For the detailing, like all these little screws, instead of actually crafting something with foam, I just used actual screws. So I just bought some screws from the hardware store as well. Just some miscellaneous crap that I can stick in there to kind of add that armored look to it. And all the pieces are glued together with super glue. I'm not sure what people usually use, but I burned through, I don't know, about 2 little things of super glue, and they're about $6 each. So I probably could have gone with a better approach, but I've already committed to the super glue, so that's what's going on. So as you can see, I've just cut a piece of the pattern onto cardboard, and now I'm laying the pattern on top of the EVA foam and tracing it with this flare pen. Because I ended up throwing away so many of these and had to recreate them for several pieces of the armor, I am now storing them in Ziploc bags so I don't lose them, especially for the parts that I have to do twice, like the gauntlets and the bicep armor. So when I trace this over the EVA foam, the lines are very faint, and to make cutting easier, what I like to do is take my square or simply a ruler, put it where the lines go, and then really dig that flare pen in along those lines. So you'll get those lines looking a lot sharper. And when you cut it with the X-Acto knife, you'll find that the knife kind of glides along where your indentation already is. You may not need to do this if you're better with the X-Acto knife than I am, but like I said, I am terrified of it, so I appreciate this as an additional step. So as you can see, the lines are now fairly deeply etched in, and like I said, I just did this with this flare pen here. If you're a huge fan of your specific flare pen, I would recommend buying several flare pens that you don't care about, because they will get ruined. But I find afterwards this really makes the X-Acto knife much more forgiving, and it really sucks when you accidentally veer off course and nick into your really nice pattern here and you have to start all over. This stuff is not exactly cheap, and so it's much better to do it right the first time. Here's my original bicep piece. I had already painted it once, but I didn't really like the tacky feel, and so I sanded it a little bit and coated it in Elmer's glue a couple more times, and I believe it's ready to paint again. Here's the bicep that we built yesterday, also been coated in Elmer's glue several times, and I'm about to take both of these out and paint them. Having been dissatisfied with the previous breastplate, this is the second and final version. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. There's some small detail work to be done with the Elmer's glue and painting and all that stuff, but so far, I think this is the right direction. So today I am remaking my original gauntlet because I have learned about the cleansing power of fire. What I've used is this little handheld lighter, and by lightly applying the flame to the edges of my cuts and then smoothing them afterwards with my finger or some cardboard or whatever's lying around, depending on how hot it is, I can get these cuts looking much smoother. This, even after being finished, this cut just looks sloppy. It looks like a geode for some reason, and then here just lightly dusted with the fire. And I will do this again and again until I get perfect smoothness, but it looks much better. So I highly recommend using a Bic lighter or one of those really long handheld ones. Just use fire, get some fire.